What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.
Banking for life means trust, stability, and confidence.
You're there for the lifetime, and NBS are providing that right through.
The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to another episode of the Mako Rugby Roundup, your home for everything rugby in the top of the south, coming to you from the Turf Hotel. Thanks to Stan and the team. Welcome back, Les. Nice to have you
it's
back,
good to
mate.
be here. Still fizzing from the Super Rugby final. I thought that was an outstanding game of rugby, and we'll talk about it later. But yeah, it was just a great watch.
It was indeed. If you notice a green haze that comes over the screen, that's because we're dominated today by Marist Football Club, and it's our great pleasure to welcome to our show President and coach of the senior men's rugby team, Nick Smith. G'day, Nick. How are you, mate?
Good, thank you very much.
Now, what did you call? What's his
Mantis.
Mantis?
Yes.
Is that like the praying mantis, or
Something like that? There's a hidden story behind it. It's not for PG. So we'll leave it at that.
I knew a guy called Marmite, and I still know him. I haven't seen him for a while, but he was the same. Can't go there.
Yeah, nice.
Welcome, Nick, and great to have you here. So let's get straight into it. Whereabouts do you hail from? What's your background?
Yeah, so I'm definitely born and raised Nelson lad.
Ah, right.
Yeah, I love this region. Did a bit of an OE, and whilst I was on my OE young, I knew I always wanted to come back and raise a family here. So I'm pretty passionate about the region. Yeah.
So are you Nelson, or are you kind of Waimea or
No, Nelson, mate. That's where it is.
Nelson College?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
was that right?
old boy up there as well. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so what about your rugby history? Who did you end up playing with?
Yeah. So I spent my time with Marist, obviously, but I
Right.
played my age grade stuff through Nelson College. So yeah, fond memories up there. Got to the end of my college years and played Marist under 18s, and that's where sort of the love for the club really started growing, and also a connection with some lifelong mates as well that I still call my best mates now too. And yeah, and sort of grew through there, and Marist it's been all the way through.
Yeah, right. So, geez, a step up for you. So how did it come about that not only did you end up getting more involved in taking the men's side, but you're actually president as well. So how did all that come about?
President first, I might add.
President first. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, husband last. No, not at all. Look, a few years ago when Paul O'Meara was the president, he knew he was coming to an end and sort of shoulder tapped me. I'd been doing quite a bit of work on the committee, both JAB and a bit on the senior committee as well. Shoulder tapped me, I ummed spoke to my wife first as well, and she's really supportive and said to go for it. She knows how much the club means to me. I felt like I was probably at a point where I could give a little bit as well. And so that role, away we went, and coincided actually with Les coming on board as a club capability manager. And, you know, in hindsight, I actually think it was really good timing. So we came in with some fresh ideas and changes in that. So that took me on the president's role. And with regards to the coaching side of things, so I've been involved with a few reviews over the years, and sort of end of last year, shoulder tapped a few potential prospects to do some coaching, and in the process, I knew I always wanted to coach senior again at some stage. I've spent a lot of time coaching juniors, and sort of outside looking in, I felt like there was something missing with the senior coaching side of things, and it was probably just to try and bring it back to what's important for the club. And so through these conversations with these other guys, a certain person said to me, look, Mantis, is probably no time like now, give it a go. So once again, spoke to my wife, and she knows I'm passionate about coaching. It's something I want to pursue as well. So yeah, I just thought, righto, let's give it a crack.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then comes the juggling act. So were you on the committee prior to taking on the president's role? Did you have some time on the committee before?
Yeah, for sure.
So it wasn't baptism by total fire.
Not really, no.
He knows all of the people behind the scenes at Marist Rugby Club.
Yeah. So yeah, spent a bit of time with the JAB committee,
Right.
with Tracy and what have you, and just touching base with the senior committee. So I wouldn't have said it was baptism by fire.
Yeah.
But it was. Look, I think I was really lucky coming into it, having knowledge around how the committee was working, and also having an idea of what direction we wanted to take the club. Having conversations with Les was really important as well, and having connection with Paul O'Meara and having a bit of a handover, I think was really important. So yeah, no, coming into it, I had all these grandiose ideas of bringing, the old school back. That's the area that we probably all grew up in, but it wasn't reality. So it was probably checked pretty fast, and learnt to take one step at a time. I think is really important, and get that first step right with whatever decision we made. And we are certainly very lucky in our club with the people that we have on the committee at the moment, and they do a power of work.
I mean, it's kind of a diplomatic role, isn't it? When you're in that, sitting in the top chair there, I mean, there's two ways to go. You can try and be a total dictatorship and just say this is the way it's going, and then you soon learn that'll put people off step. But the other side of it is actually managing all the ideas and actually just trying to keep the ship going and keeping everyone calm, listening. But at the same token, I mean, you're only one vote at the end of the day. It's still others on the committee that have a vote, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's we've sort of spoken about it. It can be a bit of a figurehead role, is the word that can be used or thrown around a bit. I try and do as much as I can. I've definitely probably backed off this year, and I've voiced that to the committee when I knew I was taking on the coaching role. But the previous 2-3 years has been about just having a finger on the pulse and understanding what's going on within the club, and just having faith in those guys that have roles on the committee to execute, which hasn't been an issue at all in my eyes. And now what's important is to make sure that the club is left in a strong position when the next person takes over.
Yeah. Well, that's right, isn't it? Trying to leave it in a better place.
Yeah, one of the real shining lights in our organisation is Libby Cucurello, who is vice president and been around the club for a long time, and definitely you're able to delegate or leave Libby to run the financial side of things and much of the operations. Yeah,
for sure. Like Libby is, he's obviously a life member, and he, like I say, he's invaluable. And guys like that in any club should be hugely respected. And I do feel like at times people don't understand within the club or even outside the club how much work or commitment, commitment/time that people like that put into a club. And without people doing that sort of things, those sort of things, clubs would dissolve. I really truly believe that. Yeah.
That balance between being president and also coaching. So how do you manage that? And can you name drop a couple of people that, well, you mentioned a good man here, Les, but also can you mention a couple of people that are supporting you around not only the president's role, but also especially your coaching role?
The coaching role, so, I mean, obviously around the president's role, definitely Les is a huge part of supporting me, supporting operations and making things happen within the club. Obviously Libby, Tracy Marfell runs the JAB. She's massive. Melanie Oldfield, like secretary is, is doing the bits and pieces in the background. And then, we've got our senior club captains and softball and what have you, netball, that are all taking those bits and pieces. So really, those guys are actually doing all chipping in at the right times. And I'm really just there to be an ear if anyone needs an ear, or potentially or just voice my opinion when I think it's time to voice it. But otherwise, yeah, the support around me regarding the presidency's role is really strong, to be honest. The coaching side of it, I shoulder tap one of my really good mates, Brennan Geddes. He's head of PE at Nayland College, so he comes from a strong coaching background. So the first shoulder tap was, look, mate, can you give me any time? And we spoke, he ummed and ahed, and he was, I can give you a little bit. And so from an early stage, we set up a meeting with the existing players. I think it was September last year, or September, October, whatever it is, just to establish who we are, and sort of just get some honest truths out there, and try and get player backing. I think was really important from us early on. So that was really important. Also, the management crew, which involves Les, about 8 other guys that want to be part of the management crew. I don't know whether they want to be part of the management crew or the after-match function, but it doesn't matter. But
look, it's a good crew.
Yeah,
you've got a manager in Nigel Cod Harley, who's been with the team for 125 games or whatever.
Yeah.
You've got a new addition, and Paul Clarkson.
Paul Clarkson,
Clarkie, he's doing a great job for you.
Yeah.
And then your water boys, mate.
Your water boys, yeah. I don't know how many water boys.
You've got quite a few, have you?
Yeah. So we've got Brett Thornelli.
Oh, yes. Well, he's been there a long time, hasn't he?
Glenn Anderson-Ando and Colin Lottie. So, and those guys are awesome. And I tell you what's really good about it is they're really good to bounce ideas off as well, around not just coaching, but just the team to get feedback on as well. And when I was umming and ahhing about taking the role on, I did call up Brett Nipper, and I had a yarn to him on the phone just to get his feedback and what have you. I called up actually as well Jason Kilworth, and just to get his feedback as well. So yeah, so around me that coaching management is massive, but I definitely think it's worth pointing out that the players are huge as well, especially the senior leadership group that we've created. Look, I lean on them a lot because I've come into this role as an apprentice, I would call it, and I think I certainly haven't come in here thinking I know it all, and I think anyone would be a fool doing that. So I'm trying to be as much of a sponge as I possibly can, and especially from the players. Like, these players come out of Nelson College, or an academy system or rep system or whatever it may be. And so, they're getting some pretty elite coaching, and it's very daunting and intimidating. So yeah, I think it's important that I keep an open mind and not be pig-headed in this situation. So massive support from the players.
So outside of the rugby, you've also presumably got a working life as well. So, geez, you're taking on a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about that side of things?
Yep. So I do a little bit of development. So in business with my father-in-law. So yeah, we've got a few projects on the go. So one of them being we bought the old Clubs of Marlborough building about a year and a half ago. So,
geez, that could be an indoor training facility.
Could be a field.
Yeah. She's big. Beast. She's big. Easy to get lost in, I tell you that. Mate. But so that has definitely soaked me up. So there's that. We're working on building a 120 bed hotel next door to it as well, and some other development projects around. So there's no doubt that I have a bit on my plate, but look, I think I use that to my advantage though, because I guess what I'm learning in business and project management or whatever skill set I'm using in that professional life, I really do think I take the gold nuggets out of that and put it into coaching, being organised, communicating, and yeah.
Plus a good way to get on with the father-in-law, isn't it? You know, get into business with them. It could go two ways.
Well,
couldn't
yeah,
it?
I think that's the easy bit. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
we
that's
have a
good.
bit of fun along the way.
Oh, that's
That's
good.
motto. That's all good. Yeah.
That's the main thing. Can you tell us about I mean, it's a hard thing to pin, it on, but why Marist and the culture? What is it about Marist? And, I've had some relationship with guys that I know in Marist because it's right in the central city. I know guys that played for Marist, and when you go back to the club rooms afterwards, it's just a good atmosphere. And I've been overseas away for years, and then you just go back to the club, walk in, and it's still the same atmosphere. What is it about that Marist club culture that makes people stick with them?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's definitely been the social side of it, right? And that social side of it can be looked at, whether you're having a beer or you're becoming friends outside of whatever code you're playing. So there's a strong connection there. I think it's really important. And I've been in the same boat, Chris, like, a long time ago, 20 odd years ago, whatever. I came back from overseas, I hadn't been in touch with the club for a couple of years, and just be able to get back, call up a couple of guys that were still playing rugby, and just walk in and be involved. And I liken it to a player who actually is playing for us this year, Riley Samuela. He rocked up to our pre-season, introduced himself, and everyone around him, all the existing players, coaches that were extremely welcoming. And I think that's an important factor of what Marist is good, that we don't turn our nose up to anyone. We don't prejudge anyone. We open people, let people in with open arms. Yeah.
We'll get to your senior side very shortly, but obviously the boys are travelling pretty well at the moment. But tell us about the grassroots. You've been involved in junior, and there's that club development role that happens. Tell us about what you see coming through and how things are going with development at the club.
Yeah, development at the club. Yeah, I think the JAB has been strong for a long time. I think that started probably at least 10 years ago with Kathleen Dornelly. She really started turning our JAB around with what numbers we were getting, and then carried on and taken to another level by Tracy Marfell. So those numbers around our JAB are extremely strong. We see early on in the early days when I had young ones, we started doing I started doing like a novice rugby program, and that was for sort of 3 or 4 year olds to come along to the club and kick a ball off a tee and just familiarise themselves with a rugby ball. But also what I thought was really important at the time, and I can still see guys involved with the club now that would bring their kids along with that, is getting the parents involved with the club from an early point.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah.
there's development of kids, right, and rugby players or netball players or whatever it may be. But I think, I know what is important is development of the club in a cultural sense, and getting parents hooked and creating a positive environment where they want to bring their kids along. So that's it's an important factor where I think we have got it right in the JAB. And now moving through age grade, we've hit this agreed split system with the colleges, which is great. So now it's an opportunity to keep that connection for players and parents or caregivers to the club as well. So the development there is, yes, absolutely for players, but it goes beyond that. It's keeping their support in the club.
Yeah.
I've always said that the parents are your next lot of volunteers and on committees and the next lot of management, and keeping them involved is absolutely critical.
Well, I saw an item, and I think it was in Wellington, and it was about basically a preschool kind of gym that opened up within a rugby club. And as you pointed out, preschoolers would come along and they just do really light activities where rugby ball's involved. But it got everyone involved, not only to provide the parents something to do with the kids, it was good activity, but also introduced the kids early on to the rugby club and the parents as they go through. So they were going, like you say, they were going in there at 3 or 4 years old. I just thought it was a great initiative.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Tell us about the challenges. So what are some of the things that you've identified that are work-ons for you guys?
With regards to development?
Yeah, development or the club in general?
The club in general. I think I still think a challenge is that age grade sector, to be honest. I do think all clubs need to be patient with what has been introduced by the TRU and give it a chance. From a Marist point of view, I think that's our challenge. I do think it's a challenge in general for all clubs to have commitment as well. Commitment looks different these days. We're in the older year. If you were going to play rugby, you'd be committed, you'd turn up to every training and things like that. I think that's missing a wee bit now. So, I think there's bits and pieces around that. The other challenge coming up is finding a new president.
That's the thing, eh?
So
once you're in there,
God, he's had 3 years to find us.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, that's always going to be a challenge, is to try and find people that are willing to step into that volunteer role in committees and leadership in the rugby.
And tell us about club football. So your viewpoint, what do you think the challenge is for senior football, both men and women's?
Yeah, well, women's scares me, to be honest, and it's a shame. I think it's such a really cool space to grow. I think there's some serious challenges there. How viable is a 3-team competition now? I don't know. Maybe it's having more 10s tournaments or 7s tournaments and a shorter 15s. I don't know. So there's some scary challenges there, I believe. Traveling doesn't always make things easy, especially in the women's game as well. And being
Motor have found that out, haven't they? They've been struggling.
Correct. And you've got to be empathetic, to that situation, for mums and you as well. So that's a scary space. But I'm sure the TRU will figure something out to grow it. For the men's, the obvious challenge is the senior competition. I think Div 2 has always been strong. I still think it's a really good competition, Div 2. Lots of different teams from different areas make it interesting. I think the challenge now for Div 1 is making sure we don't go below 6 teams. I think that's a must. The way it worked out this year, having 6 teams, was having the home and away, I thought worked really well. It means we had an even playing field, and I think we were going to, reach our minimum amount of games, which is great. I personally feel like we need more games, maybe another 2 or 3 in the round robin would be great. So there's just challenges around commitment, like I spoke about earlier, around having teams that are involved in Div 1, but also committed to turning up.
We're going to talk about the game coming up in the semis, so we're going to touch more on how the season's gone for Marist and leading into this weekend. But a couple of rapid fires. President hat or coaching hat, which is more stressful?
Coaching hat.
Coaching hat. You're a pacer. Oh, you're a pacer on the sideline.
Oh, look, I'm not too stressed with either. I've learned how to deal with stress though, but yeah, but not too stressed.
Best moment at Marist. So either as a coach, it's early days, or a club man.
Well, yeah, club man, probably playing days, 2005, winning a championship and with the Div 1 team, and at the same time, that same year, we won a Div 2, 2003. Div 2 won a championship, and our thirds won a championship. So that was pretty cool, mate.
Yeah.
All 3 comps, all 3 trophies, pretty good effort. And some of the players you played with in 2003 are legends in the game.
Yeah. Gavin Briggs, Kahu Marfell, Terry Wycliffe, Callum Taylor. Look, they're all still bouncing around and good mates. So
All part of the club.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. Toughest player you've ever played against?
Wow. Yeah, Gavin Briggs, and that was on a Thursday night, so that was scary. So, yeah. Look, there's been heaps of tough players. Back in the day, probably Ali Durant was one that stood out. He was a Stoke player back then. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Very good. Oh, well, look, looks as though the club's in pretty good shape, Lee, especially with the way the senior men are going this year, and Marist were in the semi-finals for the women, and looks like the junior stocks are going pretty well as well.
Yeah, I think the club overall is in great shape, and it's got everything to do with the people around it. You know, we've got some amazing humans who contribute to a terrific environment. Shout out to our patron Nairi Thornelli and our hubby Brian and all of the Thornelli clan. They're a big part of the fabric of the joint, but also the fact that we're now such a multicultural club, and that's, you know, to be a successful multicultural club, you do have to be very welcoming, and I think we're managing that in a good and pleasant way. So the other nice thing about Marist is we've got a pretty big open floor plan, so there's plenty of opportunity to mix and mingle, you know.
It's a big space, isn't it?
With like-minded people.
Yeah, it's a great facility, and there was a lot of work put in refurbishing it in its day. So now, Nick, you're going to stick around because we've got some rugby to talk about, but also you've got a pretty important weekend coming up. So we're going to talk about that as well. So let's get things underway with Club Chat, and it's the Stuff Tasman Trophy Women's Semi-Final, and it was Waimea versus Marist, and Waimea, geez, they're looking strong this year, 66-10 over Marist women. Couldn't quite go for 4 in a row, but a rebuild season for Marist.
Yeah, a lot of young players coming through the club, and yeah, hats off to Waimea because they have played pretty well, and that's 3 wins on the trot against us this year. So I think in the final they should put up a pretty good performance against Kahurangi.
Yeah, that's right. So any feedback from the semi-final?
Yeah, look, I just actually bumped into one of the girls that was strapping her ankle in the club rooms before the game, and just having a bit of a yarn with her. And they've definitely lost some cattle from last year, so that hasn't helped. But look, I know Marist have actually worked really hard in the off-season, pre-season, what have you, to be competitive, but more importantly, get a side out there. So yeah, bad luck they didn't get it across the line, but time to give someone else a chance to win that championship. So look, I tend to agree, like Waimea to come out with a strong win like that. I think they are heading in some good form.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. The Stuff Tasman Trophy Women's Final. It's on Saturday, 28th, 1:15 kickoff at Cook's Reserve. Kahurangi, they've just led the way this season, haven't they? And that's taking on Waimea women. So going to be an absolute big battle, isn't it, that one? So Cook's Reserve, Kahurangi at home.
Yeah,
going to be tough to beat, aren't they?
Yeah, this Saturday out at Cook's. So I do expect that... I've said it all year. I think Kahurangi are the most athletic and skillful of the 3 sides running around, 4 sides when Waitohi were there. I expect them to win at home.
Yeah,
concur?
Concur with that. Yeah.
There we go. Let's look at the feature match. Motor World Marlborough Senior A, and I picked out Renwick versus Waitohi for that one. And I can't tell you who's going to win that
Yeah,
one.
we got
But,
note the score, but I wouldn't mind betting. And if I had my phone, I could tell you. But I think Waitohi might have got up on that one.
yeah, right. I thought that was for the 20. No, that's for the 28th. Because I think I might have got the date wrong last week.
I don't know what you're doing here, mate.
No, but anyway, 28th, Renwick versus Waitohi. And I think that's a near top of the table clash on that one. So good luck this weekend. It's the Miles Toyota First 15 Boys Championship and Premiership results. And earlier on that Tuesday, because of quadrangular, Nelson College 52 over Shirley Boys 12. We have mentioned that. And then on Saturday 21st, good win by Marlborough Boys 24 over 19 St. Bede's. So that's a great result there. And then Waimea College 35 over St. Bede's second 11, 25. So another good result for Waimea. So they're tracking really, really well. Upcoming matches, and we've got in the Premiership, we have got Marlborough Boys taking on Selwyn Combined on the 28th. So the way Marlborough tracking at the moment, you'd imagine that they would be, they're not top of the table. Christchurch Boys are there, but you'd imagine that they'd do it over Selwyn.
Yeah, 50 plus, I would think.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think Falcons will be too strong. They'll get across the line. They're a classy side at Marlborough.
Have you, because you work over in Marlborough midweek, have you seen the first 15 at college there?
No, I haven't seen them over there, but I just look, you guys following what's going on, and
Championship fixture and Waimea Combined are at home on Saturday, 11 o'clock kickoff. So make sure you get along and support the boys taking on Timaru Boys High School first 15. So you'd imagine Timaru would be pretty strong, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I think that will actually be a really good game. I really do. Yeah. So Timaru, they got relegated last year, end of last year, I believe. So yeah, I think it's the first year in the championship. So they'll be strong.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to hope the Timaru region does have plenty of good players.
Yeah.
Rural lads.
Yeah. We definitely find that through the age grade that Timaru are a strong region. Yeah.
But we'll pick Waimea at home.
Of course
They're traveling pretty well at the moment. And then the quadrangular tournament, and that was played on Tuesday, wasn't it, Les?
Yes.
Yeah, Nelson College 43-17 over Wanganui Collegiate. So great result. And they go into the quad final against Wellington College. Now, what I didn't pick up is the score of Wellington and Christ College. You know that?
No, I don't, but I'm surprised that actually Christ lost that. So Wellington has to be a strong side.
Yeah, well, generally, I'm often surprised that Wellington just doesn't dominate this this overall. But Christ and Nelson have always done pretty well in the tournament. But so it's going to be very interesting Thursday. So do we know the details of what time that's played?
I think it's played an hour late. It's about 12:30
or something.
Yeah, 12:15, 12:30
on Thursday.
Hey, hats off to Greg Foe, the coach, and Tim O'Malley, and everyone involved with that side, because we've talked from the start that this team is a lot of year 12s who are going to set the foundation for a very strong 2026. But already they're getting some fabulous results. So hats off to the coaching.
Yeah, well, good luck, because it's going to be a big task, but proud history in the quadrangular tournament. Stuffed Tasman Trophy Division 1 results. Ken Mansfield Cup, would that be right?
Yes.
Waimea taking on Stoke, and Waimea, 52-19. So Waimea starting to really hit their straps now, going into some top form into the semi-finals.
Yep.
That's dead right. So with regard to that, Stoke, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed in their year. Yeah. They would have had high expectations than finishing sixth. But Waimea were very, very strong. They played that on a Thursday night, and they'd be very pleased to have the Ken Mansfield Cup in their club rooms.
And another one, Division 1, was Marist taking on Karangi. That was at home at Trafalgar Park, and it was for the John Goodman Trophy. Is that right? No.
Yes, it was.
It was. Yes, you're current holders, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 29-24. So Karangi put up a fight, didn't they?
Oh, definitely. They were
Yeah.
21-5, I think, up at half time.
Geez, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a strange half. Like, it didn't feel like 21-5. It felt like we were in the moment, but just a couple of things weren't going our way, or we weren't quite finishing. So, yeah, no, Kairangi are they're a good side, and I speaking to the coaches after the game, complimented them on the rise they've had as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Yeah, look, they're not a side to take lightly at all. But yeah, no, proud of the boys to come together at half time. It was really good for me as a coach at that halftime chat to see our thinking was aligned with Tom, the captain, as well. So the messaging was really clear. That was good.
So what happens these days? You know, the good old fashioned barrel does. I mean, because that's the hard thing. Sometimes these days, coaching younger guys, you're not too sure whether a barrel works because sometimes it totally doesn't. But then sometimes you do one just because of emotion and it works. Other times you do it the other way around. It's hard to know what to do these days. Whereas, you know, in the 80s, it would just be a barrel and that's it.
100%. I think that's missing a wee bit now. Believe you me. Look, I'm definitely have come from the world of barreling,
Yes.
but now it's it's really important to have that clear head. Get your messaging right, but also not to deliver too much. I think is important because suddenly you're throwing 3, 4, 5, 6 messages at the guys. How much is getting soaked in. So it's picking the important moments and letting players have a voice too. Yep.
One of the best things that I ever came across was actually a Masters touch tournament, and it was for the Australian National Touch tournament in Coffs Harbour.
Yeah.
And actually, Ricky Stewart was taking one of the senior sides. That was amazing. They were a good side, man. They were a good side. But one of our fellas had been in the game for quite a while, and he had a mate. He was a stats guy. And he said, here's the way it's going to go. It's going to be the stats guy first, then it's the assistant, then it's the captain, then it's me, no one else. That's it. And it was really interesting. The stat guy just went, this is how many you didn't complete, this is how many drop balls there were, da-da-da. So the message was quite clear, finish your sets. So there was no barreling, there was nothing, just here's the stats, here's what you're doing wrong, this is what we've got to fix for the second half. I thought that was a really good method.
Yeah, well, I think half time's about problem solving.
Yeah.
It's no point dwelling on the past, but how you're going to fix it. So, and it's more inclusive now, isn't it? So the team through the captain has a say, and then the coaches have the final word. And I think, as you say, 2, 3 messages at the max is all you really need to get across.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think barreling still has a place because it can be a motivator at times, especially if if the boys know they can give more. So, and that barreling can come from anyone as well. It doesn't have to come from the coach. But if it's an attitude shift or like boys wake up, whatever it is, there's still a place for it. But it's definitely more of a shift towards clarity.
If we look at Friday, it was at Lansdowne Park, 1:00 kickoff. It was Nelson taking on Central, and Nelson found a way. Obviously, Central haven't been travelling too well in recent games, but a bit of resistance there because they weren't far off. But hard to go over the hill and beat Central at home, isn't it? Great result for Nelson.
Chris, this is a crazy game. Central were leading 22-0 into the second half.
Right.
So then unfortunately they've allowed Nelson to score 24 points and on the trot unanswered to get the win. So yeah, there's something amiss about Central this year. Maybe all of the trips over the hill took it out of them. But we also had a game against them over there where, they had a halftime lead and then didn't score any points in the second half. So yeah, it might be a conditioning thing. Who knows? They'll be back though, Central. First time missing out on the playoffs for a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, just going back to that Marist Kahurangi game, what's really cool there is that the boys retained the John Goodman Challenge Trophy, so that stays in our club rooms for the summer, and we get a plaque with our name on it for the first time. So that's made the lads pretty chuffed, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, it was pretty important to us.
So he was a Nelson man, wasn't
He
he?
was a Nelson man.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But that's club.
He's a Marist man now.
He's a Marist man. He can come and visit anytime he wants.
Sorry, Goody.
So let's look at the Stuff Tasman Trophy Division 1 semi-finals and Jubilee Park, Waimea taking on Kahurangi. What a crack is this going to be?
It's going to be outstanding.
Yeah.
2:30 kickoff, Jubilee Park, half an hour earlier than normal, so don't be late. 1v4.
Yeah.
Kahurangi had an improving season all year, but Waimea have been strong. They've got a good forward pack, hard workers in the pack. They've got a talented back line. Yeah, it's going to be a great game.
It'll be a big crowd out there too, won't there? So all the signs leading towards Waimea, isn't it? I mean, good side, good season, home ground, big support. What do you think? Could Kahurangi get an upset?
Yeah, I think Kahurangi definitely have an opportunity. Obviously, have an opportunity, but I do feel Kahurangi can actually push Waimea, and they have pushed them in the round robin, second round. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll give it to Waimea. They've got a couple of steady drivers there, in Campbell and Sam as well, which will drive around the park, which is what you would expect from those two players. They do have a strong forward pack, but yeah, just from what I've seen from Kahurangi last week, I do feel like they'll be in the scrap. Yeah,
right.
sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd have to back Waimea at home for that one. And then Trafalgar Park, 2:30 on Saturday. Geez, it's going to be packed there, isn't it? Marist versus Nelson. So tell us first, Nick, tell us first of all about your season. Were you a little bit surprised at how well, because it was a bit of a reshape this year, and quite a young backline, but have you been pleasantly surprised about how the guys have gone this year?
Oh, absolutely. I think halfway through the second round, and Brennan made a comment at training saying, "Boys, if you said to me at the start of the year if we were 7-1 or whatever we were at the start of the year, you'd be stoked." So we're really happy with how we've gone. We've definitely gone through some adversity as well as a coach, with players out, injured, sickness away, as all clubs are. Our teams have been gone through as well, I have no doubt. But I think that's grown a bit of backbone for us leading into this. So yeah, it's a privilege to be here. It was a goal to get here and give us a chance, because it's anyone's game now. So yeah, I'm stoked with how the season's going.
Yeah. So how's the team looking for this Saturday?
Yeah, we're looking all right. Can't give too much away, mate, but we're looking good. It's been a nice wee rise over the last few weeks, with a couple of players coming back. So we've got Linton and Taina, who were first 15 last year and started the season with us, but picked up a couple of serious injuries. So they've been battling away, to be honest, to get back. But yep, so we've got them. So that really bolsters our forward pack. They'll be on the bench. We've got Riley Samuela, who picked up a hamstring injury. I don't know. I think it was against Waimea in the first round, believe it or not. But he's back as well. So I feel like we're getting some strength back in the squad. And just a quick shout out regarding squads. I want to thank the Saints, to be honest, and which is they plan to be Division 2. They've been massive for us to limp through games as well, and what a great opportunity for some of those guys coming through. So that can't go unnoticed for any club. So we're lucky to have that depth. So yeah, we're in a good space this Saturday.
Good stuff. Les, Nelson, they've just been slowly improving, haven't they?
They've had a wonderful season compared to the previous two under new coach Tom Marshall. And let's not forget that Nelson have won the previous two regular season games against Marist, both on Trafalgar Park. So they'll be smelling blood in the water. And they will bring a big crowd. They always do for this derby. And I hope the Marist faithful are equally equally attending in numbers.
Well, they'll have to be because Nelson hasn't been here for a little while.
Yeah.
So, there'll be a lot of excitement about them back in finals footy.
And any derby game
Yeah.
always brings out a lot of passion amongst either side's supporters. So, yeah, it's just shaping up to be a very fine 2v3
Jeez.
semi-final.
I'll have to pick this one, won't I?
Yeah, you will, because I'm not.
Well, they have been your bogey side, but also Marist have performed pretty consistently throughout the season. So I'll say down at half time, and you'll make a comeback. The young backs will start to fire, and you'll get across the line.
Sounds like about 90% of the games Marist have played this year. But thank you, mate, because now we don't have to beat you over the head.
Yes. Sorry about that, Tom. It's just that they're here, they're in the room.
Yeah.
And I might be able to see you coming. But I think that Marist have been quite consistent this year, so they'll do it. But yeah, watch out for Nelson because they have been travelling pretty well. All right, okay, Super Rugby final. And what a great occasion. And, I happened to be in Christchurch, not for the rugby, actually. It was pre-planned and we didn't know. And we thought, geez, 3 degrees in the stands. Why don't we just go to a bar somewhere? And so we're a bit soft. But great build up and what a great atmosphere it was where we were. It was just fantastic. Obviously very biased pub because I didn't see anyone cheer from the Chiefs side of things. They were all Crusaders, and a great result. And they got the win. What a comeback! Big relief for the coach, I'm sure. But hard to beat in finals at home, that's for sure. I thought the Chiefs would fire. I honestly did, but they didn't. The Crusaders snuffed them out. And it was close, but I just felt towards the end that Crusaders had that game. It was all in their favour, and a great occasion, Leah. So you were down there also.
Yes, also
Yeah.
like you,
Yeah.
a bit weak around the edges, not sitting in the stands, but instead in a bar.
Yeah.
Look, just compelling television watching, and like your bar, ours was pretty engaged in the whole game. Just a couple of things. I was mightily impressed with 4 Tasman Mako players. I thought Will Jordan, David Havili, Ethan Blackadder, and Antonio Shalfoon really put in big shifts and pretty special, especially for Davey to get a yellow card early and then come back and just lead the side around the park the way he did. That was very impressive. Ethan Blackadder, wow, just a superb, energetic 80 minutes. Shalfoon showing all of his improvement. His ability to get off the ground and make tackles, win some key lineouts. No wonder he made the Maori All Blacks. And then Will Jordan, he's just classy, isn't he?
Even with a bit of a bung knee.
He did get a bit of a ding. But he's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I think you nailed it there, Les. The likes of Antonio and Ethan to show that much energy throughout the game. Especially in the forward packs where you're playing in those conditions, right? They've got to get down and dirty and work hard. And to me, watching the game, that's where the Crusaders took the Chiefs out of the game, their forwards, by playing on top of them and just having energy, right? I think that was a massive shift from Ethan, I thought.
I mean, earlier in the season, criticism of Scott Barrett. Well, he showed he showed his class, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a dud player on the Crusaders side of the ball, really. Whereas, unfortunately for the Chiefs, they chose this game for Damien McKenzie not to really fire.
No, he didn't.
And, he will rue that missed penalty, which was fairly adjacent, I would have thought, for a kicker of his calibre. Missing that just gave Crusaders a breath, and then they hung in there.
And I thought the Crusaders number 10, I've gone blank, but I actually picked him as third number 10 in my picks for the All Blacks. They said I was nuts, but I just thought he's consistent, and what a great backup he would. Funny enough, he got picked for the Māori All Blacks, so he was recognised.
I think you're right.
He was very steady, wasn't he?
The Crusaders have found their 10, I think, to replace Richie Mo'unga. And, he's shown poise, class. He's got a lot of time. He's a great prospect for the future.
And on that note, then it leads to the All Black squad announcement. And last minute, I realised, geez, I'm going to announce it tomorrow. I'd better do my picks, and I kind of stuffed up a few things. So I picked a 34 instead of a 36, and it ended up being a 32-man squad or something.
Yeah.
33 or
33.
33. And then I realised I'd done that, and then I picked someone that wasn't even playing in New Zealand, who played last year. For the Hollanders, and to be honest, I hadn't really noticed our man, was it Fabian Holland? I mean, he was a name. I think I saw him play, but I guess because the Hollanders didn't perform the way they did this year, I didn't watch them as much this year, so I kind of missed Fabian's season. But you know, from the squad, any major surprises? I mean, obviously, I did pick a Villy, and I certainly picked Blackadder, and they miss out.
Yeah, I don't think that's a surprise. That's a disappointment. I'm disappointed for both of those guys. They, to my way of thinking, they've done very, very well in Super Rugby, and the final was icing on the cake. The surprise was McAllister, the third hooker.
Yeah.
Went with him, and I really liked that Moana Nu, who was the backup hooker for the Crusaders. But hey, it's a fine side. You know, I don't think you can really quibble. You know, Rico Ione, I hope, is a left winger and not a midfielder. I like Billy Proctor.
Yeah. I think probably the surprise is the 4 outside backs or specialist outside backs have got listed. But hearing Razor, he was talking about potentially Ruben Love looking as an option at 10 as well. And then you look in the midfield, you know, you do have Ioane and Big Jim that can play on the wing as well. So
yeah,
I think they've been really smart with the versatility that they've picked. You know, you do feel for the likes of Davey and Ethan, especially David Villiers, you know, such a tough competitive position, and you've got Tupaia and Geordie Barrett and the likes. It's pretty tough position to squeeze into. But for me, I would have had Ethan in there.
Yeah. But I mean, it was funny because Finau had a great season last season, but he just didn't quite fire in the All Blacks, and Ethan got called up. So it does make you wonder whether or not depending on how that goes, when it goes into, what do they call it these days? The Tri-Nations? No, because you've got Argentina.
Rugby Championship.
A Rugby Championship. He was called up for that. So it's still not over, is it? Because one injury, I wouldn't have had Ioane in the side at all, especially in the midfield. But 100% right. When you look at only 4 outside backs, you've got Tava Tavanawai, and you've got Ioane for that
who could
for that cover, and 100% they only picked 2 number 10s. I thought they picked 3, but Ruben Love will be a cover for number 10. So quite smart and very exciting because we've got the French coming who are undermanned, and let's hope because of that they get absolutely smacked. It might not happen. They might actually compete quite well. Let's just talk about, it's gone under the radar a little bit, but it was the fact that the Māori All Blacks were picked, and congratulations to them, Antonio Chalfoun getting the nod. So I did have him in my All Black side, but again, he got into the Māori All Blacks. And then I didn't really see this coming, but Scotland are touring and taking on, so it's a 36-man squad. It's a Pacific tour. It includes clashes against Māori All Blacks, Fiji, and Samoa.
Yeah. No,
did anyone know that was coming?
It's gone under the radar for me too, to be honest.
And then I thought, well, they're coming all this way. Why aren't they playing against the All Blacks?
Yeah.
Well, they're probably thinking they need some development.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. So the Māori All Blacks play Japan first.
Yes,
15,
they do. Yeah.
And then they play Scotland.
Yeah,
Both of those will be great. Kershaw Sykes-Martin from the Tasman Mako also getting picked for the Māori All Blacks. Right. So 2 representatives there from the region. Pretty happy for them.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much. Hey, Nick, great to meet you, mate.
Yeah.
and well done with everything that you're doing. I don't know how you do it, but
Trudy, his wife, is a gem.
she must be a saint.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff, and good luck with the club. Good luck with the rest of the season. See a big game this weekend, and also with a couple of big projects in Blenheim. So very exciting for the Blenheim region CBD as well. So it'd be great to see some stuff happening there. Les, final thoughts?
Supporters of Marist, get your green and black on and get out there. Nelson will be there in their droves. So, looking forward to the semi-final.
Good stuff. And a big shout out to Stan at the team at the Turf Hotel. Must mention on Thursday night, it's Jam Night. Friday night, it's Take Me Out. Saturday night, Trilogy. And then on Sunday, it's the big meat raffle, $2,400. So, and actually they got some music on Sunday afternoon music as well. So what's that? Music Shay? There, Music Shay, 3:30 up until late on Sunday. So there you go. That's it from us. You can catch us on MBS Talk Nelson website and social media, Spotify, YouTube, and digital radio. Don't forget, if you want to be part of the show or you want to get involved in supporting the podcast, please do get in touch. That's a wrap. We'll see you next week for another edition of the Mako Rugby Roundup.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.